money's not something that's free. Since the roll of the dice never rolls back to me. And it's already gone. A bird in my hand, 2 cans in the other, start spinning around. Now here comes another, and it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing, and all you wanna do is get up and start running. You can't hang long 'cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, is life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. And all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hang long 'cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, is life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Well, it's already gone. Already gone. It's already gone.
What's up, Jags fans? We are here and ready to go. Listen, Calvin Ridley getting reinstated, Evan Ingram getting franchise tagged. I mean, you guys thought the Jags content was over when the season was over, but you're wrong. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I appreciate everybody being here. The chat is already popping off, so I appreciate you guys. If you don't know, this is a fan show. I'm a fan. You guys are fans. So we just talk about the Jags. We're fans. Get into the comments and let me know what you think about everything going on. I like to get to every comment if I can. That's what we do around here. Before we get into everything, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram. Literally seconds before I hit the start button, I took a picture on Instagram, social media, because I'm a big social media guy. And if you didn't know, I'm trying to be better at Instagram. So that's why we're doing that right now. People already renewing memberships. Nolly Fullcap, first one. Nolly Fullcap has been a member. First one in the chat. He's been a member for a long time, so thank you, Nolly. He spams the Blake Bortles emojis. Shay is a member now for 17 months. That's what I'm talking about. He says, what a great start to the offseason. Sea Breacher is a Matt Jones level. Nolly Fullcap's also been a member for 17 months. So thank you guys. I mean, we're getting close to 2 years with us, man, and I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. We talk Jags around here, and it's a really good time. So that's what we're doing. Volk Fang, the channel members just coming in, and you know what? You love to see it. Thank you, Volk Fang, for 7 months, and he says, "Hey yo." I appreciate you guys, man. You guys thought that the content would stop, but it's not. On today's show, we're talking about Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, all other things Jags. If you watching the show back on replay, We do live shows every Tuesday, Fridays during the season. And I've been slacking on the Friday shows, but every Tuesday we do shows. So get into the show, set your alarm, subscribe so you get a notification so that you can come in and be a part of the show. I like to read all of the chat. So if it's good, a good comment, and I miss it, just type it again. I'm pumped. I've even ran into a few people recently in person that said they love the show. And so that does a lot for my psyche. It gives me a little motivation. So thank you. Thank you. Also, last plug, I swear. It's a podcast. I'm a podcaster now. So if you check out Jags United on Spotify, there's a podcast on there. It's the show. It's the audio form of the show. So some people like to just listen like weirdos. If you like to watch and be a part of the show, we're live here, ready to go. All right. We're talking, obviously, Calvin Ridley. Monster. Listen, I saw the reports about him running the 22 miles per hour, and it's like, oh, he's going to be the deep threat. No, Calvin Ridley is going to be the number one. He's going to be the short threat, the medium threat, and the deep threat, and the touchdown threat. He's going to be all of the threats, okay? So don't just like pigeonhole him into the deep threat. And listen, I have love for Kirk. I have love for Ingram. I have love for Zay Jones. But the bottom line is that Calvin Ridley is on another stratosphere than the players that we've had here. So we're probably going to lose Juwan Taylor. Gator Chomp is also. You guys are pouring in the memberships tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you. I mean, this is awesome. Thank you, Gator Chomp. I appreciate it. Man, you guys are killing it. You guys are absolutely killing it. You too can become a member. It gives you a cool little color on the screen. You can spam emojis. All things like that. So appreciate it, Gator Chomp. But yeah, so we're probably going to lose Juwan Taylor, but we're probably going to add Calvin Ridley. We are. And so I feel like that's a net gain. Defense seems like they're doing a little fine tuning, to steal the words from Jeff Prosser here, local radio. A little fine tuning on the defense. Maybe we'll add someone through the draft to help with the defense. Maybe a corner, safety, something like that to kind of help out. Not sure. Probably corner. But get into the comments. Let me know what you think about everything. Like, what are you excited about? What are you expecting? Just whatever you. I mean, this is general Jaguar talk. You can tell me who you want us to draft. I mean, we're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. Sea Breacher, channel member, says, let's go. Robert Atzer says, let's go. DJM says, Jason's on. Charlie Boy says, Duval. Chase says, pounce on that like button. I don't think I've ever heard the is it a verb? The verb pounce? I like it when it comes to the like button. Rubicon Racer says, hashtag Duval. Jag Gator, channel member, says, I'm moving to Jacksonville. Oh, is Bay Meadows a good area? Bay Meadows is a really nice area. There's not a lot of crime there. There's a lot to do in that area. It's very appropriately priced when it comes to housing and living. I personally have lived and grown up at the beach my whole life. I love the beach, but I understand that it may not be affordable for some. I just love the beach. I'm a beach guy. I go to the beach. I try to go to the beach as much as I can. I love the sand. I love the waves, all that stuff. So Bay Meadows, though, is a very nice area. It's very close to the town center. The town center is one of the nicest parts of Jacksonville. So I'm excited for you. Hit me up, man. We'll have to grab a drink sometimes because you know me. I like to hang out with other Jags fans. Most of my friends are Jags fans. I got one friend that's a Lions fan and one friend that's a Cowboys fan. And I just constantly tease them about their teams. So Fat Boy Shot says, reinstated right on time. DJM says, how does Ridley affect our cap space now? So he's still on that $11 million. He's on that fifth-year option that he originally was signed for when drafted in the first round by Atlanta. You guys know I love that's a good transition. You guys know I love my Alabama receivers. Big Alabama receiver guy. Let's take a look at his stats. Can you guys see this? If it's a little blurry, sorry. Maybe I'll move the chat so y'all can see. This is Calvin Ridley's 2018 game log. Okay, so we take a look. Had a pretty decent season. Let me get this all set up here for you guys. We take a look. 64 receptions. This is rookie year. 821 yards. I mean, that's a good rookie year. I mean, all things considered. 12.8. It's 13 yards per reception. 10 touchdowns in his rookie year. I mean, that's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. What I really like is his catch percentage. Almost 70%. Just to overall, I mean, we can even throw in 6 attempts rushing and 27 yards. 4.5 yards per carry, boys. Rookie year. Let's move on to 2019. All right, his second year in the league. The Falcons go 4-9. The team's abysmal. They can't get a win to save their lives. 93 targets, 63 receptions. He didn't play the last 3 games of the season. He got injured. But we take a look at his touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. So a little bit of a step back in year 2. But to be honest, the team was really bad, and they couldn't seem to get out of their own way. I mean, look at the points they were putting up as an offense, 12 points, and their losses, 10 points, 32 points showing here, but he had a great game, 10 points, just 22 points. I mean, they just weren't scoring, 18. So kind of hard to find stats that year. We move on to 2020, and this is where my boy shows out. Again, keep in mind that the team is not that good. They're not that effective. 3-12. 3-12, not very good. Okay, 143 targets, 90 receptions. He has 1,374 yards on 90 receptions. That's outstanding. 15.27 yards per reception. And look, yeah, he is a deep threat. I mean, the yards per reception, he is a deep threat. But he's a threat in general. 9 receptions, 7 receptions, 8, 6, 5, 6, 5, 5, 8, 10, 8. And this dude is gobbling up the ball. Gobbling up the ball. So, I mean, having a great, he's going to be a great addition to this team. I'll love it here. We'll get to some more of these comments. Again, if I miss it, type it again. We're looking at the 2020 stats. If you're listening to the podcast and you're like, dang it, I can't see the stats. Well, you can watch it, or you can just take my word for it. I promise you, I'm not lying. BOE and UNK show says, what happens with Taylor? I have been saying since the season that I think Jawaan Taylor has played himself out of a contract here in Jacksonville. He's Tony Baselli on local radio called him our best offensive lineman last year. Think about that. Our only Pro Bowl offensive lineman in franchise history called Jawaan Taylor the best offensive lineman we had last year. Whether you agree with that or not, you could disagree with that, and that's fine. I don't know if I agree with it. I mean, I thought he was good. I mean, guess I had really it's hard to rank. For me, it's hard to rank offensive linemen because you're talking about a center in interior guards whose responsibilities and jobs are incredibly different than an outside tackle. So I would have to take some time to think about who the best player was. But Jawaan Taylor, I mean, he's in. You can make an argument. So he's probably going to get some fat money. I mean, everyone's saying Chicago. I mean, that makes the most sense because they have the most cap room. And this whole sentiment of him being a right tackle versus a left tackle, it's all phooey. It's all phooey. Nowadays, you have to have both. You have to have both tackles. It does not matter. It's the blind side. Okay, it doesn't matter. You have to have 2 tackles. And honestly, if you go back and watch my last show, I made this debate argument, this persuasive speech that you need 6 offensive linemen in the modern NFL. And people are like, what? Well, I mean, you need 3 defensive backs, don't you? Why? Because you're going to play nickel a lot of times, not to mention you could have injuries at corner. I can't think of a time ever as a Jags fan, or I can't think of any team ever, who started the season with 5 offensive linemen and had those same 5 offensive linemen play the entire season. It just does not happen. So you're going to have injuries. So factor for it. I mean, it's important. So we do have the luxury of having Walker Little. We can push over to right tackle. But now we're looking at Tyler Shatley / Ben Barch being that 6th guy, which I'm cool with. But with Barch coming off of that injury, luckily it was early in the year. I mean, did they re-sign Shatley? I don't even know. We'll see. Good question, though, about Taylor. Gator Chomp says, what's good, Jags United? Man, a lot's going good right now. To be completely honest, I'm super excited about the future of the content that's being put out. So I've been doing a bunch of Twitch. If you don't know what Twitch is, it's just another streaming platform other than YouTube. It's kind of more for gamers, I guess. I've been on there a lot, and I've been getting a lot of followers and views on there. So if you're into Twitch, go check it out. It's Jags United. It's basically this, but other things. The other day I did a social studies test. I did one on Quizlet for social studies because I just took the social studies exam to be able to teach it, and we went through it all, and it was a great time. I thought it was a great time. Maybe it wasn't, but go check that out if you want. But even more exciting news is I'm preparing to get back to my daily show. That I'm not going to put the information out to this show, but I am going to start putting out episodes next week. So be looking on Twitter and Instagram. I was back and forth on this, and you guys tell me what you think and give me your honest opinion. Because if you're here, you've been a fan of the show. I want your honest opinion. It's not really going to sway me, but I just would like to know what you think. But after a lot of thinking and self-talk, and really just introspective time alone, I've decided that the show on the other channel, I'm still going to be doing this channel, but the show on my other channel is not only going to cover sports, it's also going to cover politics. And I know what you're thinking, danger zone. Don't go there. I can't help it. I have a political science degree. I'm passionate about politics. In fact, when people say that they don't like politics, they don't get involved, I tend to not really like those people. And here's why. Because there's hundreds of millions of people in the world that wish they had the political freedom to vote and to impact their country in elections. Think about all the world and all the governments out there. We're very lucky. So tell me what you think about that. I'm going to do it regardless, but I would love to hear your opinion. Ben Haney says, re-signing Taylor and, no disrespect, releasing Shaq are the only two things left to do this offseason. I'm surprised the Shaq Griffin move hasn't been done yet. But we did see the reports that it was expected to happen. So, re-signing Taylor, I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. He's just going to get. I mean, if I'm Jawan Taylor's camp, I'm going to get as much money as possible. I know he's got the Jags tattoo. That was cool to see. Yeah. A Sharpshooter and TWD says Ridley's season. Let's take a look at his 2020 grade. So 2020 was his best season, obviously. He got injured in 2021, only played in looks like 5 games, 31 receptions in 5 games, a little less on his yards per reception. Catch percentage was good, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he was injured, and I mean, how many wins did he have as a Falcon? I mean, we're less than 7 wins? Not good. Not good. He's instantly going to be upgraded to one of the best teams. He's excited, and you saw all those things about he tweeted when it comes to him being excited to play with Trevor Lawrence and to play in Jacksonville under Doug Peterson. I mean, that was probably the best thing to happen to Calvin Ridley. I mean, I know that Kyle Pitts is good, and I know that he's going to be finally another person in Atlanta, or he is another person in Atlanta, but come on. Jacksonville's in a way better position than Atlanta. We have a quarterback. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the comments because I get behind. I start talking. So, if it's a good comment, just type it again. I'll get to it. Brett Zimmerman says, good news, Jags United. I finally get to go to L.A. in a month. Oh, okay, nice. I have been to L.A. It was in 2008? 9? Went to L.A. I liked it, but I've heard since then that California is not as great as it used to be. I haven't been there, so I can't judge. Yeah, Bay Meadows is cool, says DTWD. Intercoastal is sweet to right before the beaches. Listen, there's a lot of nice parts of Jacksonville. There's a couple not nice parts in Jacksonville, but Bay Meadows is nice. And the best thing about it is, again, it's probably the most affordable, nice housing in Jacksonville. There's a lot of affordable housing in Jacksonville, but it's in areas you don't really want to live in. Bay Meadows is affordable and a very nice area, and it's on the come up. If you keep going south from Bay Meadows, they're only developing more and more and more. So great spot. Shay, who's a channel member and a great commenter, says the Jags going to be a top 5 offense next year. I agree with you 100%. C. Reacher says you've been talking about this new. You've been talking about this new channel for a year now. Okay. See, Reacher, you're right. You're right. Okay. But listen, I'm ready. I'm ready to make the jump. Okay. And listen, I always wanted to listen. I want to talk. So honestly, I want to talk about sports, politics, and entertainment. I want to kind of talk about it all. And listen, it's not going to be for everybody. I know people, some people don't care about that stuff. They only care about the Jags. But if you are a person that only cares about the Jags, and that's all you care about, and you may have like whatever interest you have, let me try to implore you. Watch a couple episodes of the show. I like to kind of break down concepts into like chewable pieces for people. So I love breaking down politics and things like that. So just give it a try. Listen, you got to be educated nowadays. It's 2023. William says, let's go. Sorry I'm late. Don't be sorry, William. I'm just glad you're here. Chase says, was he hurt in 21 or did he step away from the game? I thought he was hurt. Didn't he get hurt? He got hurt. Did not play. Ooh, I don't know, actually. Let's take a look real quick. We'll Google it together. Calvin Ridley, 2021. Don't like this. He was suspended for betting on the 2021 season. I don't know. Fox News has a story about Calvin Ridley. Look at that. Okay. Sorry, it didn't come up. Sorry, boys. Austin Boston says, showing some Ridley film tonight? I'm not actually, Austin. I'm working on the film breakdown. Yeah, I know. I got a little lazy on the film breakdowns. Sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. And me and William are both sorry. He's sorry he's late. I'm sorry. I've been slacking on the film breakdowns. Taraj Smallwell, which is actually Jarrett Williams backwards. I got you. Says, what's an unlikely yet reasonable move you'd like to see this offseason? Unlikely yet reasonable. I like to see them go after like maybe a free agent defensive lineman. The Roy Robertson Harris extension kind of caught me off guard, and I like him. Listen, I like him. And we talked about on the last show, he kind of really improved at the end of the season, and I know you got to put value in a player who plays well when it matters. I get that. I get that a lot. But I would have liked to see them go after, one of these interior defensive linemen. And if we can get pressure, and listen, I know the defensive will get better as you add people. I mean, Arden Key's not coming back. Dewan Smoot's not coming back. I know they kind of give you the same thing. But it really just kind of, like, are we good enough on defense? That's the question. Like, and I know you got to score points. They were talking about today on the radio about how last year was one of the highest scoring offenses in Jaguars history. Now, obviously, you have to factor in the added game for the extended season, but they still had a good season. You got to score points. They talked about the top scoring offenses in the league, and they all were playoff teams. So, defense is kind of taking a back seat to offense. It kind of seems like things change in the playoffs where you need to play good defense and you need to run the ball in the playoffs. But we kind of saw with the Chiefs and the way that they've been playing well and winning games that and the Chiefs defense was improved, So, but at the same time, have a good offense. That's the key. And the Jags with Calvin Ridley is going to be a very, very good offense. I would rather go after, listen, at 24, I wouldn't mind seeing an offensive lineman being taken. And I know people are going to be like, no, we need a starter there. And I get it. And I think they'll take the best available player on defense if I had to guess. But, man, again, I'm passionate about that 6th offensive lineman. I really think it's a big deal. Sea Breacher and Krakatoa both mentioning that Calvin Ridley took a mental health break and then got suspended. So it sounded like he knew the suspension was coming and took his own time off there. Jarrett Williams says, I'd love some political discussion. Then you're going to love the channel. And listen, I'll be completely honest with you guys. Like, when I was younger, I thought I was like a hardcore conservative. But as I studied politics more and more, I studied politics in college, I started moving to the center. Now, I don't know what anyone's doing as far as the left or the right. I mean, like, if this is the line, this is the moderates in the middle, and the line just keeps expanding. And I don't say I try to stay in the middle, but the fact is, like, on some things I'm like right, and on some things I'm left, because I use logic and common sense. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about politics this show. Okay, stop it. I just wanted your opinion on what you think. All right. Contrary to Sea Breacher's opinion, I have plans. Look, I was even cutting up my little intro. I'm going to do a little intro for that show. It's not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded because God knows I don't need to get canceled over saying something stupid. All right. Shay says you grabbing Frank Clark. Again, Frank Clark could be a guy that gets overpaid, but I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. Until we see how the rest of the pieces fall with our free agents, I don't know. Duval Knowles says, what up, Jags United? Go Jags. Man, the Knowles, I'll tell you what now. If I'm a betting man, and I am, I would take the Knowles to win the ACC. I would. I like the Knowles this year. Jordan Travis has been very impressive. I think Mike Norvell's got him on the right track there. Okay, and again, you guys know, I listen. I'm weird. I like all Florida colleges. It's stupid and weird, but I do like the Knowles this year. Robert Azard says, you said mental issues, but I think he was sitting out wanting to be traded. Ooh, okay, Robert. Raiden/Pokey says, hello. What up? Pokey's also on Twitch, so check him out. Daddy Reckless says, Jaguars Super Bowl. Yeah, listen, I agree with you. Rico says, I want Osiris Torrance at 24. And listen, last time we drafted a Florida Gators offensive lineman, it worked out. It worked out really well. So I don't want to hear about this Florida Gator curse, okay? Whatever. Draft the player, not the helmet. Krakatoa. The game he got suspended for happened after he took the break. So he, took a break. Okay. So the break was already happening before he committed the crime that got him suspended. Okay, so the timeline makes sense for him legitimately taking a mental health break. Okay, thank you, Krakatoa, for clearing that up. Rubicon Racer says, online would be okay. I think he meant O-line. O-line would be okay. What about Darnell Washington at 24 if he's there? He tested great, and he's a freak too. I like Darnell Washington. I just kind of question how many snaps he'd get. And I know I just said, take a 6 offensive lineman at 24, but I still think a 6 offensive lineman would get more snaps than a tight end 2. So, an offensive lineman is going to get injured. It happens every year. I don't wish it on anybody. Not to mention, we have guys like Cam Robinson and Walker Little, who are projected starting tackles, who have extensive injury histories. I'm just saying, listen, you got to be smart. All this no, don't jinx it. Don't talk about injuries. But listen, you got to plan ahead, Fail to plan or plan to fail, So that's, I don't know. Austin Boston says, so excited to see what Doug can draw up for Ridley. Me too. Man, I hope he's so much that our D-line shows there's true potential. Hey, I got a question for you. Can Jordan Smith, DN from Florida, do anything for us? Now, I actually have talked about Jordan Smith a good amount on this channel. And the reason why is not because I'm a Gator homer, regardless of the Fred Taylor jersey behind me, but the fact that he actually didn't graduate from Florida, or I don't know if he graduated or not, but he was eventually drafted from UAB. He transferred from Florida to UAB, Alabama Birmingham, and he definitely went off at UAB. And I say this all the time. People are like, well, no, duh, he went off at UAB. He was a good recruit. Well, actually, he was only a 3-star recruit coming out of by most services. The Gators took a chance on him as a 3-star recruit. And then he transferred to UAB, whose teams are filled with 3-star recruits, and he dominated there. So he did dominate amongst his peers. I thought we could get something out of Jordan Smith, but I believe that I think if we cut him, we can save $1 million. I know it's not a lot, especially because you have to replace him with someone that's basically going to count for $1 million against your cap. But I think at this point, the team's probably going to go for someone that a young guy who they think they could get something out of. It's probably more valuable at that bare minimum roster spot cap cost than someone who they have had on the team and has done nothing. DTWD says, I don't want Frank Clark. Okay. Brett Zimmerman says, hey, Jags United, would Thursday work for you to do a collab on your channel? Thursday. This week I don't have a lot of days off, right? My other job is pretty extensive this week. So this week's going to be kind of tight for me. Next week, though, I am off all week, and that's why the launching, regardless of Sea Breacher, the launching of the and the other channel is already out, but I'm going to put the information out, and we're going to be doing other stuff. DTWD says Key is better than Clark. Austin Boston says Jordan Smith is 6'6", lengthy DN that Urban drafted from connections at Florida but got hurt. Yeah, he's been hurt. Legend says Darnell could be a Mercedes 2.0. I like that comp. I do like that comp. Cam Boysver, what up, Cam? Says Darnell Washington's all but is a 6th offensive lineman. Dude is pretty okay. So now we're talking here. Now Cam's kind of critical thinking here. Okay, so you're telling me that not only could we get a 6th offensive lineman at 24, but we could also get a tight end 2 within the same player. I've heard talks of Darnell Washington falling to the 2nd round and trading up, but he seems like the type of player that gets reached for early. Is that just me? Am I the only one that thinks that? Am I the only one that's crazy that thinks that Darnell Washington might go before 24? I mean, when you test well, I mean, NFL GMs are just like salivating at guys that test well. So I don't know. Speaking of tight ends, well, let's talk about Evan Ingram a little bit. So Evan Ingram is franchise tagged. I think I looked at the numbers like briefly. It's like $11.3 million. First of all, before we even look at like his season grades and like, is it just me or does it seem like paying a guy like Evan Ingram? So for those who don't know, franchise tag basically averages the top 5 players at your position and gives you the average of the top 5. So it basically, the NFLPA negotiated it with the NFL owners and said, like, okay, you have the right to franchise tag a player, and you can actually do it twice. But to compensate a player for not giving him financial security for the future and giving him guaranteed money for the next couple of years, you have to pay him what the top players at his position are getting paid. It seems like a fair deal, except for in this case, because Evan Ingram, although he is a tight end, he's actually a receiver. Like, come on. Like, we watched enough of Evan Ingram to know that he's a tight end. So what's stopping a guy like Evan Ingram from just saying, you know what, I'm a wide receiver now? Because he doesn't line up end line as a tight end very often. I can't think of very many examples where he did. But is paying Evan Ingram tight end money fair? Like, the only reason why Evan Ingram got franchise tagged and Juwan Taylor didn't is because Juwan Taylor would be getting the top 5 tackle money, which is like $18 million, and Evan Ingram's getting top 5 tight end money, which is $11 million. It just seems like it's not fair. Like, if I was the NFLPA, I would probably try to work something out with certain positions, like at tight end. Like, that it's not really fair that you're getting a lot less money. And like, who says he's a tight end? Does he say he's a tight end? Does the team say he's a tight end? If you guys are old enough to remember, Ernest Wilford was a Jaguars wide receiver. Big dude, like, big, tall, strong. He like switched from wide receiver to tight end. So like, who says this? Who calls the switch? Because if I'm Evan Ingram, I'm saying, hey guys, I'm switching to receiver. I don't know, man. I don't know. Fat Boy Shaw talking about Washington says that one-handed catch he made at the combine was sick. Snagging a ball one-handed only does wonders for your career. Look at guys like Odell Beckham. The list goes on and on. So, yeah, you're right. Rubicon says, I would love 2 tight end sets with Darnell and Evan. Me too, but then, like, who do you take off the field? Do you take off Zay Jones? Because if you're in 2 tight ends, that means you're in at least what's called 12 personnel. It's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. So now you have 2 tight ends on the field. That means you can only have 2 receivers on the field. So who comes off the field? Zay Jones? So by saying, and I get it, you want to mix it up. Like, and listen, you want to have some plays where you have Darnell Washington and Evan Ingram on the field, and then you have plays where you have Zay Jones and Evan Ingram on the field. Yeah, so what? So 50-50? 50% of the snaps. So are you okay? I mean, like, what percentage of snaps? Because I'm a statistician, right? So like, what percentage of snaps are we talking about 2 tight end sets? Because at every snap that we're in 2 tight ends, Zay Jones is coming off the field. Just food for thought. And listen, the argument may be 50-50, maybe. Chris Mason says Balky needs to grab Jack Campbell. Okay. The house always wins. Okay. I mean, look at Evan Ingram. I mean, look, we kind of looked at this last week a little bit, but like, didn't have a great showing through the first. I mean, we'll call it 13 weeks grade wise. grade-wise. Now, again, good player. Good player. And these aren't really telling the whole story of the stats because he did play well in some of these games. I mean, the Giants game, he played well. But he really turned it on thereafter. And there's going to be some time where you have to adjust. There's going to be some adjustment. Like, you're a new team. The team wasn't really playing that well then. So I get all that. But when you start looking down toward the end here, and, I mean, he started just having great games. I'm glad Evan Ingram's back. We can look at his like pie chart here, right? Okay. And again, these are good numbers for a tight end, the way that PFF grades. Like, this is actually pretty good. I know people hate PFF. I know that. But, like, the way PFF grades, this is actually, like, pretty decent. I mean, a great game against Tennessee, great game against the Jets, Chargers. Look at his game log. The thing that is getting a lot of people, and I get it. I don't know if I can close this. Nope, this opens up an ad. Yeah, we don't like that. The thing that's kind of getting most people is the touchdown. I mean, only 4 touchdowns, and I get it. He had huge plays where he fought for yards, and I'm one of the biggest Evan Ingram guys, but 4 touchdowns isn't contributing that much to the team. And I know 766 is great for a Jaguars tight end and any tight end, but is he worth, like, what can you extend him for? Like, if you give him 3 years, $30 million, guarantee 20 of it, does he take that? Because, he's on a 1 year 11. He gets tagged again, maybe goes up a little bit, 1 year 12, 13, but he's got to stay healthy. That's, I think, the numbers here. I mean, I know Philip Butcher says PFF sucks. I know. It gives us some context, though. Does the 4 touchdowns concern you? And look, I mean, he had two against the Titans. So if we remove the Titans game, he had 2 touchdowns. And I get, like, offense was anemic in the red zone at the beginning of the year, and I get that we had other weapons, and I get all that. But at the same time, like, does that concern you at all? It's my only question. Listen, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just asking, does the 4 touchdown number give you a little bit of reservation about extending him long-term with guaranteed money when you can tag him for 11? Haney says Ingram is a borderline top 5 tight end. If he's just a wide receiver, he'd be top 30 at best. Okay. That's fair. But, again, we kind of talked about this when we were talking about Christian Kirk, right? We had an episode where we talked about, like, how many receivers in the NFL will we take over Christian Kirk, right? And we had, like, maybe 13 that we took over Christian Kirk. And then we had another 10 that we thought were, like, probably comparable, where, like, you could flip a coin and they would both, give you the same type of production. But then in doing that, we learned that, outside receivers and slot receivers aren't really the same role. And they're not, I mean, the big, tall guys that can go up and get jump balls aren't the same guys as the small guys who can run quick routes and get open and catch. So it's hard to, like, say that he's, what I'm saying? It's hard to say he's a tight end. I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird to me. Legend says we can keep Zay and run 2 tight end sets and empty. Okay. I feel like they would rather have Etienne on the field than Darnell Washington, don't you? Or tight end 2, whoever it may be. I mean, because what's the point of having? I don't know. There's no run threat is the problem. So if there's no run threat besides Trevor's feet and empty, your linebackers can just zone drop right away. Or they can just pre-snap, line up, head up over their man assignment if they're in man. The running back, like, gives the defense, like, that little couple seconds at the snap where they have to read, right? We talk about defenders' best traits sometimes is read and react. If there's no read and it's just react, and that's the problem with empty. Now, the thing that empty gives you is is mismatches with your matchups, right? If you have 5 wide receivers out there, most teams don't have 5 guys that can cover, right? If you're in their dime package with 4 defensive backs and a middle linebacker, you're asking the middle linebacker to cover a tight end and a 4th defensive back to cover a fourth wide receiver, and that can give you matchup numbers if you're an offense. But if you don't have a running back on the field, not only do you not have the threat of run, but your quarterback in his head is thinking he only has 3 seconds because the edge rushers can basically beat their tackles with speed, not having to worry about getting chipped or hit by a running back. So there is a time and a place for empty, and I think that's what you're saying. But there is some risks with empty. Ben Haney says, I'm glad Evan Ingram is still on the team, but I still think we need to supplement in the draft. Yeah, I mean, because right now it's just Luke Farrell. I mean, do they bring Chris Manhertz back? I mean, I think you could bring him back on the vet minimum. And now you're looking at having, tight end 2 on vet minimum deal. Chase says the production balanced out his touchdowns. That's fair. That's fair, Chase. Shay says, do you see Trevor making the same size leap this year as last year? Yes, I do. And yes. I know where you're getting, and I'm getting at, and yeah, I do. Do you? I think so. Nick Ludwig, channel member, what up, Nick? Says, when the hell are we going to cut Shaq Griffin? We have time. Listen. Art of War is deception. Don't show your hand right away. Cheek clapping. Gets me every time. Says the Cardinals are asking for a second-round pick and a comp pick or player in return for D-Hop. Just don't see the snaps there for D-Hop. Now, heaven forbid. Listen, I'm not into superstitions and jinxes, so I can say this. If there's an injury early in the year, one of these guys goes down, one of the top 3 go down, which we don't want to happen, but, happens all the time. Receivers get injured. Then maybe you make a move, and maybe that's a more realistic situation or scenario of where you have an injury at one of your skill positions and you go out and you trade for him. I saw Allen Robinson's also getting shopped. Any interest there to be your wide receiver 4 on Allen Robinson? What are your expectations for Trevor's numbers this year? All things considered, I do expect him to make a big jump. He's already probably considered a top 5 quarterback. Honestly, I would have to look at his stats. I mean, I know I should know these off the top of my head. So what he had? He had 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 picks. Those are good numbers, man. Those are good numbers. How about this? This is including playoffs, I believe, right? How about we say 40? We'll say greater than or equal to 4,500 yards. The touchdowns are going to be tough. I'll say between 27. I'm going to say greater than 27, but less than 32 touchdowns. And we'll put his picks at 8 again. How about that? There's my predictions. Did I leave myself a little wiggle room here? Yes, I did, because you guys know me. I think ahead. So that's what I think. Trevor is having a 5,000-yard year, no doubt in my mind, says Cam. Listen, I said greater than. Shay says 100% I think Trevor makes another leap. Doug said they had less than half the I'm sorry. 100% think Trev makes another leap. Doug said they had less than half the playoff this year. Okay. Cam Blaisberg, Trevor, yeah. Ben Haney says, should we at least try to see if we can make a trade for Derrick Henry? And then Cam says, Titans wouldn't allow us to come to us. Yeah. I mean, I would love Derrick Henry here. I love Derrick Henry. But I think Cam's right there. That's without playoffs and rushing touchdowns. Okay. Really going to win the Triple Crown. I like it, Hoodie 904. Listen, I'm with you, Hoodie. I'm with you. I'm thinking 38 touchdowns. Around 4,600 yards and 7 INTs. Okay. All right. 38 touchdowns. Oh, that's way more than I had. Maybe I'm a little low here on touchdowns. Why am I thinking 32 is a good number though? Regular season, that's a big jump. Playbook, not playoff. Well, thank you, Shay. It was very confusing. Remember when we thought he tore his ACL versus Detroit? Yeah. Again, not a big jinx guy. Trevor's like very resilient and fearless. The guy loves contact. He loves throwing the ball into tight windows. I like Trevor a lot, man. I know we all do. Seeing him at TPC today was great. I didn't see him personally. I saw the videos. I will be at TPC, though. If any of you guys are going, I'm going to be going Saturday and Sunday. So if you're out there at TPC, zip me a message on Instagram, although I'm really bad at checking Instagram messages. I'm trying to be better. Zip me a message on Twitter or Instagram, and I'll be out there. Probably following Scotty Scheffler. I mean, my favorite golfer is Cam Smith, and he joined the Live Tour, so he's not going to be at the TPC, unfortunately, but it's okay. Rubicon Racer says, I think he can get close to Blake's number at 35 touchdowns. He's better than him, and our receivers and tight ends are arguably better than Robinson and Hearns. Yeah. I wouldn't say arguably. I would say they are better. Absolutely. Shay says, I'm thinking 4,800, 32 touchdowns, and 10 INTs. Jaggernaut says, Jags United, out for dinner with the fam. Wanted to say hello. Catch on the replay, good sir, Duval. Jaggernaut, man, appreciate you, my boy. Appreciate you. Glad you're here. Hope you guys and the family are enjoying the dinner, man. I really do hope you are. Shay says his rookie year, he basically got carried off with an ankle in an immense amount of pain. No weight on it, only to come out and finish the game. Trevor is tough. Yeah, he also took, if you remember in the playoff game against Ohio State, the kid from Jacksonville, Sean Wade, like helmet-to-helmet hit. Looked like he was concussed. Came back and played. Sean Wade was ejected for the hit. Came back and played. I mean, the guy is fearless. The guy is tough. Absolute legend when it comes to quarterbacks. I mean, listen, we have a great quarterback here. We have a great quarterback, and I'm really excited. I really am. So it'll be good. Rubicon Rich says, Cam Smith said he might go to spectate the players at some point. Said it'd be funny. He still lives in Jacksonville. Yeah, I know. I did see that. Listen, I hope I see him, man. I really did. He won me a lot of money last year. I took him before the tournament started to win, and he did. Rubicon got that one. Joe Drawbond says, when does draft and development start? Trevor's contract looming. Yeah, we're going to have to pay Trevor at some point. And listen, pay him. Pay him. Bijan, baby, says Chris Mason. Debo says Sean Wade from Jacksonville. He went to Trinity. Yeah, I remember that. Very good player. Cheek Lappin says, considering Burrow, Mahomes, Geno, and Josh Allen all threw for 35 touchdowns or more, I'd realistically expect Trevor to have 30 minimum next year. Okay. Listen, I agree. I mean, he's going to make a huge jump next year, just simply with the addition of Calvin Ridley. I mean, Calvin Ridley is a beast. Evan Ingram come back on his second year. I'm excited, man. I really think that he's going to have a good year. And, ETN, I mean, I can't imagine a situation where the team takes any step back. I'm trying to think through the positions, and, I can't think of any spot where, I mean, could I see the safety position being less than or equal to what they played last year? I don't know why. I don't have any justification. I can't even give you any reason why. I just feel like if there were a spot on the roster where, a group were to take a step laterally or back, I just don't have a ton of confidence in Jenkins and Cisco. And I like Cisco a lot. You guys know I like Cisco. I love the way he played against Kansas City the first time. I love the intensity that he brings. But he gets beat a lot in coverage. And Rayshon Jenkins was really good at the end of the year, but kind of had a rough start at the beginning of the year. And not to mention last 2 years ago with Urban Meyer era was not good at all. So that's the only position that gives me a little bit of reservation. Not saying that they're bad by any means. I mean, just a little bit of reservation. We didn't do a great job covering people. I mean, Travis Kelce absolutely torched us. We couldn't stop the run against Pacheco against the Chiefs. Now, I know the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl. So I'm living in reality here. But if our aspirations are to win the Super Bowl, then we need to do those things that we could not do. Because although the Chiefs may not be the same team they were last year, there's going to be another team that takes another step. I can't imagine the Eagles getting much worse. They're losing some people, but I mean, they're still bringing back most of their core. I can't imagine the Bills getting worse. So, I can't imagine, a lot of these AFC teams, being bad that were good last year. So we'll see. The AFC South's probably going to be pretty bad. But again, I'm not worried about the AFC South. I'm worried about the AFC and then the NFC. So, I don't know. Something to think about. C. Reacher said Trevor's about to get $60 million a year. I can see that. Yeah, he's about to get paid. About to get paid. Robert Adford says, we got to get Arden Key signed. I know I do like Arden Key a lot. And he probably won't be too expensive. But I kind of talked about him on the last show. Is Arden Key a guy like Juwan Taylor where it's in his best interest to shop himself? I know all these guys said they like Jacksonville. Juwan Taylor has a Jacksonville Jaguars tattoo. But, again, if I'm their agent and I'm their family, I'm saying at least go see what someone will pay you. You can always go back to Jacksonville. I don't know. Food for thought. Jags need a pass rush at 24. The only problem is where's he going to play? Again, just so many snaps to go around. I know you'll find room for talent, but we said that with Muma and Lloyd, and did we really find room for them on the roster? If you're expecting Travon Walker and Josh Allen to be back, and I know you can push Travon Walker inside in some plays, but I don't know. Maybe. And listen, maybe. Got to have rotational pieces there. I went on my soapbox about the 6th offensive lineman being important. Your 3rd edge rusher is important. But if they bring back Arden Key, now you're looking at your 4th edge rusher. And I know draft best available player. I'm like, okay. I'm cool with that. Cam Boysbert says, not only is Trevor getting better, but we keep surrounding him with more talent. This offense is going to be good. The Jags being top 3 scoring offense wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I'm with you there, Cam. Little worried about offensive line. Just a little bit. Not a lot. Just a little bit. Just the injuries. Walker Little at right tackle. What's going on at left guard? I mean, is Shatley coming back? Is Barch going to be healthy? I expect Fortner to be good. I expect Sheriff to be good. But what rookie quarterbacks will the Colts and the Texans draft? Who do you not want them to take? And who do you prefer they take? Golly, man, it's so hard to predict quarterbacks, Shay, and you know this. That's why you asked me. I have a gut feeling that Stroud and Young are going to be good. And that's who I think will end up on those 2 teams. Probably Stroud 1, maybe Bryce Young, wherever the next quarterback goes, 2, 3, wherever. Will Levis, I'm hesitant to say he's going to be bad, although my gut tells me he's going to be bad. But it's just hard. I don't know. I don't know. Anthony Richardson, I couldn't even begin to give you a projection on what's going to happen with that guy. Freak athlete, amazing talent, but he was not good at Florida. And then listen, he just wasn't good. I mean, and I've heard the arguments that the receivers weren't good at Florida. The coaching was terrible at Florida. I mean, Billy Napier may be the worst coach in the SEC. And I'm talking game management. I'm talking, putting his players in the best position to win. I get the whole sentiment that it's not his players. He didn't recruit them. Don't care. The way I saw him manage the clock, manage timeouts, manage his play callers, not a fan. So I get all that was working against Anthony Richardson. At the same time, usually you can see raw development. And I'm seeing all the comparisons between Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen. And for some reason, I don't see the comparison at all. I know the numbers are the same. The size might even be the same. But Richardson depends much more on his athleticism than Josh Allen does. I'm not saying Josh Allen's not athletic at all. I'm just saying Richardson depends on his athleticism to make plays. So I don't see the comparison there with those 2 guys. I don't know. We'll see. That's my answer, which I know is a cheese ball answer. Philip Butcher, what up, Philip, says need to address O-line in the draft, protect the franchise. That's what I'm saying. It'll probably end up being like a second or third round pick. If they all love Jacksonville so much, why was the report card so low? Bro, Jamal Agnew's tweet about the Rats. If you have not seen, okay, hold on, we gotta pull this up. I know, all you guys all saw it, but there may be some people out there that did not see Jamal Agnew's tweet about the Rats. So you guys saw the Rats and like the report card where the players like there's legit rats in the stadium. Look at this tweet here. This was one of the funniest things I've ever seen from Jamal Agnew. See if I can zoom in a tad here for y'all. He's Nino, who is Quentin Diggs, says, "Damn, Jamal Agnew, y'all was taking showers with rats." And he says, "They were emotional support mice," this headline. Like, I love how he changed it from rats to mice. Like, went out of his way to talk about how they weren't rats, they were mice. Bro, this made me laugh so hard. Like, as you can see, I retweeted it. I literally died. I died on this. Like, I like Jamal Agnew, you know. I'm not, you know, I get the fact that he may not come back next year. But this was funny. This was funny. Balefire says, might have to get Madden this season. The Jags offense is going to be so fun on there. That's a good point. Legend says, we would have been in a better position if we had let Cam walk last offseason. Use that money to pay Taylor this year and let Little play on. I know. You're right. It's hard to know that at the moment, man. It's really easy to look back retrospectively and say you should have done this. Like, yes, we should have drafted J.J. Watt instead of Blaine Gabbert. I get that. But it's really easy to do that. I get why they paid Cam Robinson. I've said time and time again, you either have a left tackle or you don't. That's the bottom line. So if you're in a position between having Cam Robinson or trying out a dude that you think might be able to play it, I get the sentiment of just locking up your left tackle. So I get why they did it, but you're right. In hindsight, should have done it that way. That's hilarious. Facts, man. You're not following Agnew? Am I not? I don't know. I have like 17 Twitter accounts. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't have 17. I have 2, but I get them confused. Ben Haney, if we were to apply Trevor's average from the Raiders game on, he'd be projected to have 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Okay. Well, if a rat is inside, it's a mouse. Oh, I didn't know that. Look at that. Learn something every day. Best player available, I meant, says Rubicon Eraser. Okay. Listen. Hey, listen, I'm glad you guys are here. I mean, that seems like a good spot to end. We're about an hour. I had a lot of fun tonight. I always have fun doing these shows, but I had a lot of fun tonight, and that's because of you guys in the chat. Thank you. You guys kept me laughing, kept me entertained. You had some great takes. So I seriously appreciate talking to all you guys. Brian Foster, Shay, Cam, C. Breacher, Nick Ludwig, all the channel members. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Everyone else that was in the chat, thank you, Cam Boysford, not forgetting you. Nolly, Full Cab, Volkfang, Gator Chomp, all you guys. Thank you, and everyone else in the chat. I really appreciate it. Be looking out for some information about the other channel. Again, it's going to be spicy, but it's going to be good. And I implore you guys, if you're not someone that's into other things of this world, like politics and maybe pop culture, I don't freaking know, but just check it out. You know, listen, maybe it'll spur your interest. Maybe you'll get involved and kind of want to learn more about your constituents and what's going on in this world. Does that sound cheesy? It sounded kind of cheesy. Okay, I'm sorry. Follow everything. Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell a friend that's a Jags fan about the channel. That'd be great. That would help me out a lot. And do all of those things you know to do. I'm also on Twitch, so subscribe to that. There's a lot of content out there. I'm just like a content fiend. I can't help it. I'm a podcaster. Check out the podcast. Listen, guys, thank you. I love you guys. I will see you guys very soon, hopefully sooner than later. Try to do another show this week.